Cobol-Db2 programming, right?
Yeah.
So in Cobol-Db2 programming, Cobol and DB2, the process of converting the Cobol part to its executable format and the process of converting the DB2 part to its executable format, both are different. Okay,
Okay.
that is why Cobol-Db2 program means writing DB2 statements in Cobol platform. For example, you have a program through which which you will receive a file and you have to load the data in a table. So you have to do it through Cobol-Db2 program. It's an automatic process. You cannot do it manually. There will be data validation also. So how will you do it? So there will be a Cobol-Db2 program. Cobol and DB2 both should be written together, which is like integrating the DB2 statements inside Cobol platform. How will it work? The Cobol part, the process of converting the Cobol part into its executable format is different than the process of converting the DB2 part into its executable format. Both are different. So, first part is called pre-compilation. Pre-compilation. Pre-compilation means separating the Cobol and DB2 statements from a program. Okay. Separating the Cobol and DB2 statements from a program. Do you know pre-compilation bind execution?
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
What is pre-compilation?
Actually, in Cobol program, uh, uh, Cobol and DB2 queries will be there. Pre-compilation, why we are doing this? We knows that one Cobol program, this is DB2, and then this is Cobol thing, this thing and all. But system don't know which is Cobol and which is DB2. In DB2, exit SQL, end exit, we return the query. We compilation will did the Cobol code will be go to one side and then create linked it and load module create, and DB2 it will go to DBRM and then package and plan both module will be matched. It will create the load module and will execute. If not, we'll get the error.
What is package?
Package is nothing but all the query will be put into the DBRM. DBRM will create a package and then group of plan will call package.
No. Okay, done. I will tell you. So first is pre-compilation. Okay. So pre-compilation means before compilation, what we do? Pre-compilation. So compilation
Okay.
is what? Compilation means to convert the source code into object code. Before converting that, pre-compilation has to be done. Utility is DSN-HPC. This is the utility which we'll use to separate the Cobol and DIP2 statements. Okay. Then Cobol part
Yeah.
will be compiled. Compilation. Cobol part will be compiled and load module will be created. Cobol part will be compiled and load module will be created. Now Cobol part is done. Okay, Cobol part is done. Now what will happen to the DB2 part? DB2 part
DB2.
will go to DBRM. So DBRM is again a product. It is called database request module, where the extracted SQL statements from the Cobol-Db2 program will go as it is. Whatever you have written, select query, insert query, update query, delete query, whatever it is, will directly go to DBRM. So DBRM also is a library. It's a library inside which a member will be created, which with the same name as the main program, where the extracted Cobol part, DB2 part will go. So that member name will be called as DBRM. Okay.
Okay.
Next is what will happen to the DBRM. That will call bind. DBRM is taken as input and it is bound into a package. Now, what is a package? Package is the output of DBRM. The input is the SQL statement, output is a package, but package is not executable. It is not the executable format. It is just the output of the DBRM, but it is not executable. Then
Go to plan.
package is again bound into a plan. But in most of the projects, you will see there will be no package creation. Directly there will be a plan. You do bind, give the input, and plan will be created. Okay. Now finally execution. In execution, what will happen is this compiled COBOL part and the bound plan both will be put together and it will be executed together. Now, initially we separated both the COBOL and DB2 parts. Then COBOL part we compiled, DB2 part we bound. Then finally we need to combine both of them because both of them are part of the same program. So we need to combine both the executable part of the COBOL and the bound DB2 parts. Both will be combined together and will be executed, correct? So
Yeah.
this is the process. Now, what happens in pre-compilation? It will just separate. It will not do any syntax check, nothing. The COBOL part will then be compiled. So most of the times inside pre-compilation JCL only compilation steps will also be there. So inside the pre-compilation JCL only you will see first step will have utility DS and HPC. It will pre-compile. It will separate COBOL and DB2. DB2 part will go to a DBRM and COBOL part will go to the next step where it will be compiled. What is the utility? We already know. IGYCRCTL is the utility to compile a COBOL program.
Okay.
Then load module will be created, COBOL part is done. And then that DBRM, which was created inside a DBRM library, will be taken as input and it will be bound. It will be bound into a plan. Now, plan is not a library, nothing. Plan is the product. Plan is a product which every project will have. Most of the times it will be a fixed name. Okay, you cannot create a plan with your own choice, with your own name or something. Suppose your application name is ABC, plan name may have anything, ABC01, ABCP1, something, any name it can have. Most of the times it starts with some ABC, the application short form. So plan name will be a name which will be decided by the project. Okay, and every time anyone binds a program, it will always create the executable format inside the same plan. If me and you, both of us are working in the same project, then when you bind the DBRM, the executable format will be created into this package. If after half an hour I bind another program, that executable format also will be created inside the same plan. Okay, because we all have to use the same plan in the project. So I have never seen getting different plans getting used in project. Same plan, it's a product fixed. Now, how come if anyone uses a plan, if you have used the same plan, then this plan must be having your code. If I do the bind after some time, then my code and your code will be merged, right? How is it going to be possible?
Okay.
You did the bind half an hour back, so this plan has your code. After half an hour, I am doing the bind. Now my code also will be going towards the same plan. Then my code and your code will be merged together, right? So there is an option while doing the bind, we have an option of add or replace. If you do add, then both the codes will be added. If you do replace, then my code will replace your code. So we should always use replace in the bind option, bind parameters, action. Okay, there's a parameter called action. Either add or replace, there we have to do. These are all bind parameters. Now we have the executable format of the DB2 part. We have the executable format of the COBOL part. Now both of them have to be brought together. So in execution, the input will be the load module and the plan, and it will be executed together. Now, while doing the execution, how will the system know whether the load module and the plan that it is trying to combine and execute are part of the same program which was separated initially? It might be from different programs, right? The compile the load module may be from some other program, the plan may be some other from some other program. How will the system know whether these are part of the same program? It will only know because of a timestamp. When pre-compilation happens, a timestamp is generated. Timestamp token. It is a logical thing, not a physical thing. It's a logical thing. At what timestamp the program was pre-compiled. Same timestamp will be passed to the compilation part, and it will ultimately go to the load module. Same timestamp will go to the bind. Ultimately, it will go to the plan. Now, plan also has the same timestamp. Load module also has the same timestamp. Now, while executing, the system will compare the timestamp of the plan and the load module. If those are matching, then obviously both are part of the same program. If those are not matching, then it will fail with -818 timestamp token error.
Yeah.
But this does not happen very often. It may happen sometimes. That time you just, if it happens, it means there was something wrong with the bind. When it did the bind, timestamp token was not passed properly to the plan. Okay, the timestamp this timestamp was not passed properly from bind to plan. That is why here it did not match. So you have to do the bind again. When you do the bind, the timestamp token will be passed into a plan, and while executing, both the load module and the plan timestamps will match, and then the program will run successfully. This is the process which goes on. Clear?
Yeah.
So Cobol-Db2 program looks like this. Okay, this is identification division, programming data division. Now inside working storage section, you have to define your table, and also there is something called SQL-CA. Do you know what SQL-CA is? What is SQL-CA?
Communication area between the SQL.
What is it? What does it mean?
If any error, it will go on fail.
So SQL-CA means SQL communication area. It is a communication area which will be used to execute this SQL inside this Cobol platform. It is a predefined copybook. We have copybook concept in Cobol, right? Cobol file copybook.
Yeah.
Copybook
Yeah.
means what? The structure. It contains the structure of the
Structure of
files.
the
Similarly,
files.
it will contain the structure of the SQL, various SQL parameters. So not only SQL code, SQL1, SQL13, SQL error, SQL error 3, SQL state. SQL has so many different parameters. Everything is part of this SQL. It's a system defined, predefined communication area. For you don't need to keep it inside any library. It is already present in each and every mainframe system. You just can directly use it. For this, you need to use include. In Cobol program, while defining the structure of a file, when we use copybook, we use copybook name. But here we have to write include copybook as well. Got it?
Okay. Yeah.
So working storage section, now always in each and every Cobol-Db2 program in the whole world, wherever you go, if you write a Cobol-Db2 program, you have to write these 3 lines. Exec SQL, include SQL, and exec. Now what is exec SQL and exec? See, always this is a Cobol platform. This is not a DB2 platform. Inside Cobol platform, DB2 is a host. Sorry, it's a Cobol is the host. DB2 is a guest, right? It's a host means what? Who? If someone comes to your house, you are the host. That person is a guest. It's a Cobol platform. So Cobol statements are all host, and DB2 are external things. So whenever you execute any DB2 statement, you have to indicate the system that this is a DB2 statement. So you are indicating the system to execute this SQL. Exec means execute. End exec means end execution. Between the exec SQL and exec, you have to write your DB2 statements wherever you write inside a Cobol-Db2 program. And include.
Okay.
Now, what is include EMP tab? So in this program, I am going to use the table EMP tab. EMP tab is the name of a table. This is the table EMP tab, okay? I have created long back. So this table I am going to use. I am going to write some select query. So we'll come to that later on. Now this table is a DB2 table. Now how are you going to use the same DB2 table inside a program? The Cobol program cannot directly interact with the DB2 table. So what we need to do, we need to convert this table into its equivalent Cobol format, that is called declaration generator. Okay, declaration generator. If you go to this SQL option, you'll see number one is spoofy, number two is DCLGen. DCLGen means declaration generator. Here, the SQL generative statements are generated. Here, if you go, a table you can convert into its Cobol equivalent format. So here you have to give the table name. I have already created EMP tab, and here you have to give the dataset name where you want to create it. Here you can give the data set. You can, so every project, everywhere you will have a DCLGen library. So here I have matsc.jb.dclgen within bracket emp tab. So what is the meaning of this? You are going to create a DCLGen of a table emp tab inside this library matsc.jb.dclgen with the same name. That means this is the actual table whose equivalent Cobol structure will be generated inside this library with the same name. And action add means if this library does not have any member called emp tab already, it will be added. If it has, it will not be added. See, member already exists, so you have to use replace here. REPLS. So execution complete, member emp tab created now. So if you go to this library, this is created. This is emp tab. So here some committed lines will be there. Then the SQL generative SQL declaration statement will be there. How the table was created in the declare statement. These are the columns that we have: name, ID, class, and all. The data types will also be there. Now the equivalent data type, see below the declaration generator will be created for each column. So name is a column. There will be a group name generated automatically. And for each column, there will be a column here also with level number 10. Name here also name, character 10, here it will be picture clause x of 10. Then ID 1, character 4 not null, ID 1 picture clause x of 4. Class 1, character 4 not null, class 1 picture clause x of 4. So characters equivalent Cobol format is x and then length. Then date field. Date is date, date field is date, date's equivalent Cobol format is x of 10. YY hyphen mm hyphen dd. Then we have time field, timestamp, it is x of 26. Then we have salary, integer means S9 of 9 com. Then we have date of birth, character 10, so x of 10. Then spouse name, character 10, x of 10. So equivalent formats are generated. Below, if you go, indicator statements are not there, we'll generate later on. So this is the format. Now, when you execute a Cobol-Db2 program, when the Cobol program interacts with the table, interacts through these variables, through the in the table, through this DCLGen, it cannot directly interact with the actual DB2 table. So through these declaration statements, it will interact with the table. That is what is required. Okay.
Okay.
So include EMP tab means when you compile this program during pre-compilation, the system will search for this EMP tab into your DCLGen library, which you need to mention in your pre-compilation step. in pre-compilation, this library has to mention here. This member will be searched, whichever you are searching, whichever table you are using here. Then
Okay.
I have taken a variable WSName picture close accept, and then procedure division. I have written, see, every query has to be written within exec and exec. Select name into WSName from EMF where class 1 equal to A5. This is a simple SQL query, just is an extra thing is there, which is into colon WSName. This thing is not there in the normal SQL query which we write in Spoofy, correct? In Spoofy, when we write select name from table name where class is A5. But here we have written
That is
select
host
name.
variable. Host.
Yeah. And in Spoofy, why don't we need this? Because when I write this query and execute, it is the name comes in the output. But here, unless and until inside Cobol program, we know that to carry a variable or to carry a value from one part of the program to another part of the program, we need variables. That is why when you select a name from a table, where will you keep it so that it can be carried later on in the program and it can do something? You need a variable. Now this variable is called a host variable. Why? Because WS name is a COBOL variable. It's not a WS name picture plus acceptance is a COBOL statement. It's a COBOL variable and this is a COBOL platform. So it's a host platform. So this variable becomes a host variable. Inside a DB2 statement, you are using a host variable. So you are indicating the system with this colon. This colon always will indicate host variable. It is to indicate the system that I am writing this value into something which is a host variable by writing this. Now, whatever name is fetched from the table will be written here. Then evaluate SQL code. So if you remember, we did this 88 level number where we do this evaluate statement, right? So inside each and
Yeah.
every Cobol program will have this evaluate statement. Evaluate SQL code when 0. If this query runs successfully and a row is fetched, when 0, display name WSName. When 100, that means query runs successfully, but it does not fetch anything from the table. 100, display no row present in table. When the query fails, then error in SQL code, end evaluate, stop run. Now, where is this SQL code coming from? How is this coming from? This is a parameter which is coming from this SQLCA. When you do pre-compilation, if you go to the school, you will see SQLCA is expanded and one parameter in SQLCA is SQL code. That is why you can directly evaluate the value of SQL code after each and every query in the program. So, where class is equal to A5, let us see if we have any row in the table.
Okay.
So, we have a row. Name is Samir, correct? So let us first of all, this program I wrote, let us first of all pre-compile this. So pre-compilation step is this one only. So you need the source library where you have written the Cobol-Db2 program, matsc.jv.cobol-db2. This is the source library where you have written the program. This is the source library. What is the name of the program? SCLEC. I have written it in the member. Now there are copylib is also input. We don't need this in this example. Copylib means if you are using any file in this Cobol-Db2 program which has any copybook, we need to define that copybook here. DCLgen, see the DCLgen has to be written is JB. It has to be written here inside this library. So from your program, this EMP tab will be picked up from this DCLgen library. What is DBRM lib? It is the DBRM where the extracted DB2 statements from this program will go to this DBRM. Inside this library, same with the same name as SCLEC, one member will be generated where the SQL statements will be present. And load lib is, see, inside this pre-compilation, this is a pre-compilation block. Inside this, pre-compilation is also there, compilation is also there. First stage will pre-compile, DB2 part will go to this DBRM, Cobol part will be compiled and it will be loaded into this load model with the same name. Got it?
Yeah.
If you submit, if it is successful. Now, if you open this DBRM library, you can check with EMP tab.
SCL selector.
Sorry, SCLC. See, this is the DB2 stepper. Here you will not understand. It comes in a different format. But this is the exact. These are the exact queries which you have written in your Cobol-Db2 program. Okay.
Okay.
Next is we will do bind. So the DBRM is created. Now we'll do bind. Yeah, this bind. So what we in bind the utility is IKF JFT01. This is the input matc.jb.dbrm. Okay. Now these are all bind parameters below. So here you have to write the program name SELEC. This is the program name. Okay, which you want to bind. That means program, not program name, DBRM name. Bind is all about DBRM, converting the SQL statements to its equivalent executable format. So this is the bind member name, and this is the plan. So this plan everyone is going to use, whoever uses this mainframe system. So here the executable format will be generated, and these are all bind parameters. Action, replace, REP means replace, and there is one more parameter called add. Now which one you are going to use? As I said, if me and you, both of us are working the same project, if you have done the bind of a program half an hour back, your program code will be present inside this plan. Now, half an hour later, if I want to do bind of another program and if I use here add, then what will happen is my code will be merged with your code also inside the same plan because I'm adding it. I have to always replace it because I don't need your code. I need only my code present in this plan. That is why I need to use REP. Isolation is locking mode. Okay, how you are going to lock the rows. Now you might have written select query, insert query, update query, delete query. When it will be executed in real time, what kind of locks will be put in these rows, in the rows or in the pages? CS means cursor stability.
Cursor stability. 4 types.
Cursor, cursor stability means row level locking. Okay, it will only lock the row which is currently getting processed, whether it's a select query, insert query, delete query, update query. Because Cobol, as I said, DB2 has this format, no? DB database, then table space, then tables, then pages, then rows and columns. Inside a single page, we'll have lots of rows and columns. If you are trying to, as in this program, we are selecting a row which is class A file. Now, if I put CS, what will happen is it will only log that particular row which I'm currently facing. It will fetch it. It will not log any other row which are present in the same page. System only. If you submit, see bind is also done. Now, last is execution. Here also we have IKGFT01. Now there are two inputs. One is the Cobol and DB2 part we separated. So Cobol part we need to take. Cobol part, what's the name of the program? Load module SCLEC, which is present inside this library. What is the name of the plan? METESCA. So we are taking both of them as input. Now I'm executing it. Done.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, what did we expect from the program? If SQL code is 0, then I displayed name, WS name. So this should come in the display since this row is present in the table. Now, if you go to see name equal to Samir. This is what we got. Name equal to Samir.